But with the onslaught of the internet and other digital media forms, some out there say the magazine industry is dead or dying. But our next guest says that is not the case. He says magazines are instead embracing new technologies like the iPad, and the number of ad magazine pages in magazines actually inched up in the second quarter. What's going on? We are joined now by Reed Phillips, co-founder DeSilva Phillips, which is a media investment bank that's done over 200 deals worth about $8 billion. And I know you've been busy of late because there have been so many changes of leadership within the past year. So dead, dying, or perhaps just in a position, a place of change right now. What is the prime driver of that change?
Well, the prime driver is that the magazine industry has been in a kind of an epic downturn for the past 18 months. So in many cases, revenues have been down as much as 30%. When things were going well for the magazine industry, there was no need to change. But now, as a result of the economic downturn, decline in ad pages, there has been a lot of pressure on the industry. As a result, you're seeing a change in leadership, and you're also seeing the industry embrace new technologies much faster than they have in the past decade.
They've got to thrive.
Well, another significant change, I'll tell you, is that the industry really woke up when they saw a decline in the value of some of these media properties. Several of the news weeklies, TV Guide, Business Week, and Newsweek, at one time in the past decade were worth over $2 billion. They sold in the last 2 years for a grand total of $10 million.
Right, with Bloomberg acquiring actually Business Week in there, so to make your point. But talk to me about how the path of consumption is changing the magazine business. Obviously the iPads, the Kindles are different forms of receiving the information, and you point out that actually consumers are willing to pay more to get a magazine on an iPad than to buy it at the newsstand.
Yeah, there are cases now where publishers are doing so much with the iPad in terms of embedding video and other things that you could never get in a print magazine. And as a result, as they're testing in the market, they're finding that in some cases consumers will pay more, and consumers are even happier with the overall experience.
And Apple's picked up on that, right? Because they're talking now about this digital newsstand for publishers, something that would function separate from an app on an iTunes store. So how does the structure of that work? Because we know the magazine publishing business, where the content provider and the guy who prints it come together. How does this work online?
Well, a lot of it's still being worked out, and that's definitely a big issue for the magazine industry. They would like to continue to maintain control over their relationships with readers and advertisers. However, in some cases, in the negotiations with Apple, they're less able to do that.
They can't stay vertically integrated. They've got to have Apple be the middleman. Right,
right. And Apple's retaining a lot of the information about the consumers that the magazines used to be able to use in marketing to advertisers. So there's definitely going to be an issue over that over the next couple of years, and as you see new tablets come on the market, there will be more competition.
Is the model for what Apple may be for the magazine industry going to be similar to what happened in the music industry? Are they going to take 30% of publishing sales?
Hard to say right now, but the magazine industry is trying to prevent that. They've developed a coalition of some of the top publishers, and they're looking at other options. Everyone, I think, likes what's going on with the iPad and the adoption by readers, but they also know that there are a lot of other devices that will be coming out, and they're going to use that leverage, I think, in negotiating with Apple.
So the negotiation about splitting subscription revenue and the data used for users. And very importantly,
information about the readers.
That'll be really interesting. And so we've got to stay on top of what you broker there going forward. Thank you for joining us, Reed.